Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. We're going to take a look at Trius, which is a fan favorite. I get a lot of requests for this. Apologize, it's been a little while since my last review, but what we're going to do, we're just going to strictly look at the technical analysis, see if we can find any good entry point, and obviously understand, big picture what the market's doing, because we always try to look at Bitcoin and Ethereum as well, and there was a bit of an adjustment in the price action today for those. I'm not a financial advisor. Please always do your own research. This is for educational purposes only. If you'd like $25 in Bitcoin from Voyager, please link in the description below, as well as the fact that we have a Telegram community that I'd like for you to join if you're interested to help stay engaged in everything cryptocurrency. So we all talk openly and collaborate and figure out good action plans for specific coins and just generally have a good open environment for us to learn. So awesome stuff. Please feel free to reference that. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get right to the video. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at Trius. Let's see what's going on here. First of all, I do always like to look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, just kind of get a baseline so you can see what's going on in the market, and we can kind of take it from there. All right, so first things first, we'll look at that. So Bitcoin, here is Bitcoin. We're going to look at the 4-hour chart first, just kind of see what's going on, because if you're understanding the gist of everything, you can tell that Bitcoin kind of had a pretty strong sell-off today. Everything kind of went red for a couple of hours, at least 4 to 6 hours, and then it bounced off this support level of 53,000. So thankfully, it stopped there, stopped the bleeding, and came back up. Now it's trying to test the 100-day moving average, and we'll see how it reacts to hopefully continue with the 200-day moving average eventually, right about 57,000. Again, that 200-day moving average is like a really, really strong support and resistance level for Bitcoin, so we're hoping it comes back up above and stays above. That way we can all continue to grow our wallets much further than they have recently. It's been a little rocky, you could say. Let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum next. So Ethereum is doing very well, all things considered. As you can see, it's ramped up pretty strong over the last 2 weeks. And yesterday, bit of indecision, of course, with Bitcoin kind of doing its sell-off. It's kind of figuring itself out, but just know that Ethereum, anytime Bitcoin sells off like it does, people jump ship, go over to Ethereum. But at first, Ethereum is kind of slowed down because it is, of course, impacted by Bitcoin. So you see that there's a red day and then strong green day when people jump in, red day, green. So it's pretty normal for Ethereum to do this. So it'd be interesting to see what happens next, but it's traveling above all moving averages, so essentially sky is still the limit at this point right now. So we'll see what happens. All right, so that's what I want to show you there. And what we'll do next is take a look at Trius. So we'll start with a 1-day chart, work down to 4-day chart, 15 minutes, and then the 1 minute. Kind of just get a big picture on everything here. So this is a 1-day chart. You can kind of see, typical ICO pattern there, major sell-off, comes back down to, wow, it was under $1 at one point, nice. And then it comes up. Here's the first major ramp up. I was able to I think I did a review on that one, and then of course came with a retrace here, and then a strong ramp up with another retrace. So I've said this before, but patterns in cryptocurrency have a tendency of repeating themselves, but they don't have to. Okay, so it's normal for them to happen over and over again, but sometimes they just surprise you. Now, in this case, I'm not surprised personally by the fact that we are seeing a very similar pattern. So I would not be completely, disheveled if I saw the price continue to come down and then find its way back up again. It does seem to have this strong surge followed by a retrace, surge, and then retrace. Okay, so just pay attention to that. We'll see what happens, of course, but that is essentially what we're looking at for the 1-day chart. And the RSI is in pretty good shape. You're looking at roughly about 60, but as you can see, both times the RSI has come up over 70. We've seen somewhat of a retrace afterwards, so it's no surprise we're in the territory we're in right now. But what's really cool about this so far with the price action, the way things are going, there's not a lot of correlation here between Bitcoin and Ethereum as far as noticeable indications that the price is impacted strongly by either. So to me, that's a great sign. It's almost independent in its sense, because let's just take a look. I'm sure there's some correlation, but the 17th, for example, this was the 17th here. That was the first major sell-off for Bitcoin. 22nd was the next sell-off. That was this guy here. So kind of just a a level day there, so to speak, open and close, same time, same price, and then the 25th is right here. Okay, so we did see some of a dip, but ever since then it's ramped up, stayed above. So I would say that there's not a direct correlation. Obviously, Bitcoin impacts everything, but it's not terrible. Okay, it's in pretty good shape. So I like that. I think that's a great quality about Trius. Let's look at the 4-hour chart next here. Now the 4-hour chart, neither oversold or overbought for the RSI. That's a great sign. We like that. Volume is slowing and lowering essentially. So this is also an indication of the fact that it's working itself into a kind of a consolidation channel. So I would be surprised if the price continued down much further, but essentially with the low volume and the price action kind of being very similar these past few days, it's working itself into an average true range, a smaller true range, and that's a good sign. So that's another positive technical sign there. So ultimately we're looking pretty good here. Let's take a quick look at the 50-day moving average. And this is awesome. I like this because the 50-day moving average on the 4-hour chart is a pretty good indication of strong support and resistance level. So as you can see, tested once, twice, 3 times on the 4-hour chart in the past 12 hours. That's a really good sign. So I like the fact that it's staying above the 50-day moving average, currently working as a support level, and that's something we want to see in scenarios like this. Okay. Next up, I want to maybe mark, see if we can find a support level. I mean, this does appear to be a pretty obvious support level right here, right at about $5.83. Did I read that correctly? Yeah, 583. Because it was tested once, twice, 3, 4 times there, and then it was resistance once, twice, 3, 4 times as well. So that should be a pretty strong indicator of a support level right there at $5.83. And as far as resistance, I mean, you could see that that's probably a pretty strong resistance too. So we'll just mark that guy. So kind of working itself into a channel right now. Furthermore, we could mark this. I don't put a lot of weight into this indication here, but a lot of times you can kind of see where there's where there might be a potential breakout. So with the price action being where it's at right now, there's a strong likelihood of the price breaking up or down here. Now, commonly the price breaks down when you see a wedge pattern forming downwards like this, but with the moving average being there, as well as the fact that support level below that is much stronger, I would venture to guess that the price actually might increase because based on the overall price action, average true range, I would say that Trius is actually very affordable right now, and it's kind of moving independently of Bitcoin within reason. So I do feel like the price could increase in the near future because it stayed up here for quite a long time, considering it had that very strong ramp up here. Like we went super high up to $8.50 in one day, came back down, and it came back up to make a new all-time high of about $9. Okay. So just something to be mindful of. That's what we're looking at on the 4-hour chart. Moving on to the 15-minute chart. And just to clarify too, in case you're not familiar with this, because I don't normally use this version of TradingView, usually use the KuCoin or Binance, but I find this to be much more effective as far as volume weighted average price is concerned, because it has the upper and lower bands, and that's what I'm typically used to when I do when I'm stock trading ETFs and futures. That's usually my go-to. So I love the VWAP. It's my favorite tool, but I like it even more when we have the upper and lower ranges. So just kind of give you an idea of what these upper and lower bands are. First of all, the green lines, top and bottom, are essentially the max. I've referred to it as a variance before. So if you see a strong variance between the volume weighted average price and the price action, that's what I'm referring to there. So anytime it taps, just say the upper lines or the lower lines, then there's a strong chance of it being considered either overbought or oversold, and the price has a tendency of correcting itself. Now this VWAP is acting kind of funny because it's based on a 24-hour period, right? So it's a rolling 24 hours. So if you can, as you can see, sometimes it'll pinch itself together right here. That's exactly 24 hours later from here. So it takes a 24-hour period of the volume weighted average price, creates a support and resistance line, which is this blue line here. Okay. So try not to get too confused with the noise here. I'll try to clarify that as we go along, but simply put, right now, overall RSI is in good shape. Not a huge indicator on the 15-minute chart, but the fact of the matter is here that the the price is traveling right in lines with the VWAP. Okay. And what's cool is it's coming into this line here as well, so there might be a breakout up or down, so pay attention to see if there's any price action coming up here. But just bear in mind that we're working within these two support and resistance levels. High point, current resistance is at $7.20. Current support is at $5 and approximately 83 cents. Okay, so if you were to consider taking entry right now, I would wait for the price to stay above the volume weighted average price, the blue line there. And it's kind of hard to notice because there's a lot of blue lines. I'll probably try to change the color. Maybe we can change it to just say red. I don't know if that's noticeable for you guys, if you can see that or not. Yeah, we'll try a variation of red and see if that's noticeable. Hopefully you can see that right. But yeah, the bottom line is that as long as the price is over this red line and it confirms, in other words, the price stays above that red line for at least 15 to 30 minutes. I prefer 30 minutes. In other words, we wait for confirmation. If we see two solid green bars close above that line, then that might be a consideration to consider taking entry and adding just say 15 to 30% to your position. I would prefer to wait for the price to come back down here and test this support level of $5.83 and to stay above. If it tests this level, stays above for 30 minutes, then I would consider taking a larger entry, maybe 30 to 40% at that point, and then see how the price action moves. Prior to that, I would set a goal. If it's a short-term swing trade under 24 hours, I would set a goal of somewhere in the range of 3 to 5%, maybe even just say 6. So just say hypothetically the price comes down, bounces off this line, and comes back up. I would enter in my position as close to the support level as possible. When the price trends upwards closer to my goal, close to the 6% range, depending on my indicators, if my RSI is still under 70, I might consider adding to my position. If it's over 70, I would immediately sell my entire position and get out. And that's just, again, what I would do, because I'm more of a conservative, safer trader. I almost always want to wait for confirmation. It's very rare for me to jump in without confirmation. So those are the two confirmations I'm referring to. Waiting for 30 minutes above, preferably two solid green bars above the VWAP, which is the red line here, as well as the same confirmation down here on this line at $5.83. If I see that in either circumstance, I would take an entry and I would shoot for 3 to 6%, depending on, again, how much time I have in the market. If it's late at night and I only want to get in and out within 30 to 60 minutes, I would only shoot for 1 to 3% gain. It's a longer trade, I'm starting my trade in the morning and I have all day to worry about it and figure it out, then I would consider maybe a range of 3 to 6%. Okay, so again, that's just kind of the consideration, but if you see this right here, this guy right there, more particularly right there, those two solid red bars is not an indication to go long. That would be a case in point where you might want to consider a short position. Okay, that's just, again, how I think, that's how I look about it, and usually how I approach each trade. So confirmation first. I always prefer 30-minute confirmation on the 15-minute chart, 2 solid green bars if I'm going long, 2 solid red bars if I'm going short, and then of course pay attention to the RSI. So if we look at the RSI right now, sorry, one sec, turn that off. We'll see it's right in the middle. Okay, so that's not a problem, that's really good. Now if the RSI is closer to say 60 and you get your confirmation, pay close attention to how high the RSI is trending. If it's slowly creeping up to 70, all good. If it's peaking over 70, be very careful and maybe consider exiting your position as soon as possible, because again, the price has a tendency of selling off when the RSI gets over 70 or under 30. It'll be considered oversold or overbought. So just pay attention to those two things. That's generally how I like to approach it. Again, use your own trading style, figure things out for yourself, but I can tell you that waiting for confirmation is probably the best thing that I've done for myself, as well as setting a goal and holding to it. If you don't have a goal in mind, you're going to be just frivolously jumping in and out, and it makes no sense at all. Be smart, be tactful, go into it with a plan, and leave with a plan. Heaven forbid the price doesn't go where you want it to. You leave, you cut your losses, and call it a day. Or jump back in when you have the right indications. But more often than not, if I wait for confirmation and I get good confirmation and all my indicators are in the right place, I'm commonly going to be very successful. I'd say I have probably about an 80% success rate based on just these things I've shared with you so far. Okay, again, that's just my recommendation. Do what you will. I'm not a financial advisor, but in the years of my trading, I can tell you that it's kind of working out to be a pretty good little scenario, pretty good situation. So yeah, big picture too, pay attention to how the price is reacting to this potential wedge pattern that's forming, and also be mindful of the support and resistance levels too, because these are pretty major support and resistance lines. And for right now, we just got to worry about this small little channel that it's in. But just be prepared, it will likely break out in the near future. And I do think that we're going to see some price action in the next 24 to 48 hours. Looking forward to it. So hopefully you found this beneficial. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you didn't and you already are, thank you so much for your patronage, support, whatever you want to call it. You're awesome. Really appreciate you guys very much. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.